I finally have something prove it works, right? To the shop. Show them if you follow this step by step, stage by stage deliverables, then you're gonna see the result guaranteed.
Today, I'm excited to welcome Jackey Lin to the show. Now, as you'll hear, Jackey has a very, very global, diverse background. In fact, he works with multiple cultures across very cross-functional, diverse teams. And so really what we dive into today is really, how does he do that? How does he initiate operational excellence on a global scale to really work with this very, very diverse group of companies and group of people. And he does a great job really kind of going into some specific examples and techniques that he uses. So he's got a lot of experience, and I think there's a lot to learn from today's episode. So show notes can be found over at gembapodcast.com. Just look for episode 573. Again, Gemba Podcast, look for episode 573. Okay, enough from me. Let's get to the show. Jackey, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me. It's truly an honor to be on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Well, hey, where are you calling in from?
I'm actually calling from an island belong to the Malaysia. I'm in South Asia, and it's a wonderful, beautiful island, and there's no storm. It's not cold. Every day is the same temperatures.
What's the temperature?
Oh, right. The average is like 80 to 90 Fahrenheit degree
Oh my gosh.
every single day. So it's like a swimming. You can swim pretty much every day.
Oh my word. What's the name? Like, where are you?
It's a Malaysia, Penang.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Penang.
Wow.
So
It sounds like a really rough life, you know?
I know. Hey, but it has been ranked as a top 10 retired place, though.
Wow.
In
Very
the world.
nice.
Yeah, very
Very
nice
nice.
place.
Have you been there all your life or?
No. I just started here. I mean, like taking my family kind of travel around the South Asia, and we decide to stay here for certain times, maybe 3 months to 6 months.
Okay. Got it. All right. Well, hey, Jackey, as you know, we like to begin all of our episodes with our guest sharing a quote. So what do you have?
Actually, I really like the quote. It's a think big, start small, learn fast. So I really like this quote because it concisely and effectively describes how to initiate any link journey at a different scale. So the quote really, it was from the book, the New Killer app, and it was published in 2013 by Paul Carroll and Chanka Moy. And the book is really about how to develop the digital transformations and the applications in a very fast time. And it also describe how it impact the business. So for this quote, it's kind of, I start to apply this 10 or 15 years ago ever since, because it really doesn't matter what scale of the link journey that we want to go. Even the company with one facility, the company with multiple facility across the board in the global footprint, you always want to think big whenever you start, and then you want to pick one area to start with. It could be a workstation, it could be a one shop, right? It could be a pacemaker work cell, right? And then you want to jump into the actions right away, because I really truly believe the best learning experience coming from the hands-on implementation. So this think big, start small, and learn fast is really kind of give you a very similar to the PTCS cycle. So it kind of echo to that.
Got it. Love it. All right. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, Jackey. Tell us about your background, maybe how you first got involved in all this continuous improvement stuff, and then what you're up to these days.
Yeah, I have had a pretty interesting career path. And so after I finished my biomedical engineering degree and military service in Taiwan, I decided to come to US in 2003.
Okay.
And I was trying to pursue the MBA and also trying to enhance my English as my second language.
Hmm.
So after I finished the MBA, I was fortunate to be hired as a supply chain supervisor as one of a aerospace and defense company. And during that time, it was the time I began to experience and also linking all the productivity improvement that I learned in Taiwan with the terminology, with the
Hmm.
lean terminology such as Kanban, 5S, Kaizen, value stream mapping, those buzzwords that you are very familiar with, and start to linking the actions and those word terminology together. So I was also lucky enough to be involved in Boeing's Lean initiative for their 7 Series final assembly line and also the V-22 Osprey project. So after that, then my journey didn't expand to the global scale until I was hired as the operational excellence the head of a global operational excellence at one the top two oil and gas company. And I think we're going to talk a lot about that global operational excellence and how do I implement that at that scale.
Hmm.
So after that position, I venture into the ERP implementation and also start to lead several like digital transformation project, and then get into and then was promoted to a VP of operational excellence in supply chain ERP and also logistic. And now, since January 1st, I decide to take a career break. And then now I'm kind of in a different island and trying to take some break and dedicate myself and more time to the family. Yeah,
Nice,
right.
nice, beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Well, as you sort of hinted at, I want to sort of hone in on, I guess, a certain aspect of your career that you just mentioned, and maybe want to just go dig into a little bit about how you might go about initiating OPEX on a global scale, as you mentioned, on a global scale, and maybe what kind of KPIs, key performance indicators, what did you use? Like, what did you really focus on to be successful at that global level?
Yeah, so when I got the job as the head of global operational excellence, and I was working for the company, and they got a pretty big scale globally. So I was tasked with a very clear vision, very clear mission, and to cut down the repair and service process time by half in order to significantly improve our asset turn by 30%. So the goal and the mission very clear when I was hired into the position. And when the drill and when so I don't know if you are familiar with the oil and gas service company, and the asset term is really one of very key KPI, the asset term. So just give you the number as a kind of the scale that we are dealing with. So every time, whenever we pull the tool out of a well, out of the oil rig, all the tool, drilling tool or explorational tool will need to send back to the service center. And the service center will start to wash it and disassemble, inspect it, and also do a lot of repair and maintenance if necessary, and then put everything back. So some of the tool is very complex. It's like a 40 to 100 components, and every single tool and the component, they are serialized. So once you disassemble, it need to go back to the original one. So
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine if there's a hundreds of tools coming back at once and tail down at once? The shop, if you are not organized enough, every part start to mix together, and you very get a lot of confusion on which tool you're gonna build first. So after we fully understand the mission and the goal, and what are we trying to achieve there, we didn't start to hire or train people with the Lean concept, because let's put some numbers in the scale that we are dealing with. We are talking about $2 to $3 billion worth of asset running around the oil rig and the service center, and we are dealing with, and we have a 65 service center are servicing hundreds and hundreds of oil rig at each given time. We got a couple thousand employees around the globe in 65, right? So facility in 35 different countries. So when I start the position, it's almost impossible to try to start to hire or train. So we changed a different approach in my mind. I want to build a model shop. So in order to build a model shop, I need to start to stationize in one facility. So we pick one shop as a pilot, and we invited several SMEs, the subject matter
Yeah.
expert from around the globe to one location. We studied the tool, the product family inside out, and for more than a week, and develop the future state. So I want to kind of talk about this future state because this step is a very critical step. We embedded three very critical guiding principles into this future state before we even hands on to do any activities. So these are three guiding principles. One is we want to make sure that 90% of operational activity were driven by a visual control signal. The second is we want to ensure the continuous flow once the tool start to get into the main assembling line. The third thing is we want to use the Kanban concept to link with all the supply of a material flow, the people flow, and also information flow from end to end. So the entire system was really built, the future state operating system was really built based on these three guiding principles. After that, we use this guiding principle, start to hands-on implementation, or you can also say we experiment, right? Because the concept on the paper doesn't mean anything. Once you get onto the shop, start to build it, you're going to start to face a lot of challenges. Like a very, very, very simple example: how do you calculate the Kanban system bin size? How do you create a Kanban card? Those are very simple things, right? So it took us 6 months to fully complete the entire future state at one shop from end to end. And we see a significant improvement from that. So during the hands-on implementation, we document every single detail. So every piece of information, and we take a photo before, after, corner to corner, line by line, piece by piece, and this is really lead to the creation of that product family's operation menu. So we call that a lean operational menu. Now, after I got that menu, everything become standard. So I take that menu to build 5 more model shop in each continent. So we are talking about Aberdeen, right? Scotland, Aberdeen, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Australia, Perth, Latin America, we pick Brazil, Macaé, Russia, right? So we build a model shop in each continent. And then from while you are building that, introducing the standard menu to those shops, you're also developing people. You're also developing the talent because they have to hands-on with me at the same time. So once they know how to do that, we finally boost a lot of confidence to do a global rollout. So we start to roll out to the global every facility. We expect every facility globally to complete the menu. And that menu actually consists of 20 specific deliverables in a sequence through the 4 sequential stage. So it's very clear. And then someone might will challenge me and say, okay, so if everybody build the menu, then where is the continuous improvement gonna coming from? So now here's the tricky part. While they are hands-on implementing that menu, if they have a better idea than the menu, please demonstrate that and share with the global. we might well replace our existing menu with their idea. Hey,
Hmm.
let's improve. We start to improve more. Well, if you don't have an idea, I'm sorry, guys, implement it.
Yeah.
Just follow the menu. So the entire global, after 2 years, the entire global start to grow, and we start to apply the same method and the same method to different product families.
Hmm.
So we are talking about 5 different product families there.
Wow. Okay. Well, it sort of leads me into my next question. So obviously, you've got a lot of experience with the large organizations, multiple sites. I expect multiple cultures and maybe ways of working.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how do you manage in an environment that is that diverse, that large, that dynamic. Like, what are some methods or some advice that you have for folks who might be dealing with something similar?
Yeah, I think, so the resistance is there, right? And I would say from the global scale, a lot of time, in my opinion and in my experience, uh, there are two very big challenges. One is the early resistance, right? And their perception of getting things done. There's a culture different. And then the second one is communication, especially we are talking about the language barrier and the cultural differences there. So let's talk about the resistance there. I almost want to say that in the very beginning, it was very tough because we had a couple failure before we start our Link journey. Our company trying to hire a lot of Lean leaders and then start to spread them out to the global and only do the 5S because they think of 5S is a very fundamental first step. So everybody do 5S, but they didn't know that every facility start to go in different way. It failed, and we didn't complete the whole Link journey. And then now, when I show up, I cannot do the same thing because if I do the same thing, then everybody gonna say, "Hey,
We already
we
did
have
that.
done,
Yeah.
yeah, we did that, we done that, right? We are not going back there." So we change it a different way. Is to build in the model shop and that operational menu. The secret sauce and the secret weapon is really that global Lean operational menu for each product family. Because here's the thing is, I finally have something prove it works,
Mm,
right? To the shop, show them if you follow this step by step, stage by stage deliverables, then you're gonna see the result guaranteed.
mm,
Well, this gonna help to minimize that resistance, especially when you take this menu and all the actual result on the P&L with the team leaders or executive at a different country or even regional leadership. They will say yes right away. But in the beginning, before you had that model shop and the result created, it was very difficult. So that,
mhm.
but once you pass through that threshold, everything become much easier to deal with their resistance. Now, there's another resistance is very difficult and they need to deal with in a different way. And every time, every country might have a little bit different. I call that working environment uncontrollable resistance. For example, I was in Russia. The working environment, one of the facility in Russia, the working condition was extremely tough. In-house temperatures during the wintertime could drop to minus 10
Mm,
Celsius, which is a 10 Fahrenheit. Outside temperature is a minus 40, which is a minus 40 Fahrenheit. In such a very harsh conditions, and we start to talk about the Lean implementation and those terminologies and operational excellence thing. Nobody is going to care about that, right? Because
yeah.
they're going to consider those as the extra burden, on their daily job. They are trying
Mhm.
to survive already. So we
Yeah.
have to deal with that in a different way. Saudi, Kuwait, we are dealing with the same storm. If we, how do you improve the demarcation and how do you put all the color code and everything demarcation under the heat of 110 Fahrenheit, and you also are dealing with the sandstone. It's almost impossible. So we have to deal with the working environment first. Nigeria, when we start to get into the Nigeria, there's an Ebola outbreak. So that thing need to be under control. Iraq, they were during the war with the terrorists. So a lot of different countries might have a different issue that you have to deal with, and their resistance are valid. That kind of tell me, especially when we start to introduce the operational menu, then the technician will tell me, the front line will tell me, you guys have tried this way so many times. Now, can you fix my AC, climate control in-house first? Right? So that is something that we need to change our mind. That's another resistance. Another one, the big one is the communication. And language barrier is really one of the things there. But as a non-English speaker myself, actually believe it or not, it's actually an advantage for me because we try to keep everything simple as possible. And then we also try to use more analogies and pictures to convey the messages, how to implement the operational menu. I'll give you a couple of examples that are how we communicate. So when I go to the shop, even though they don't understand the English that well, right? So I pretty much just project a surgical operating room picture. I say, we want to build the work center like this, just like the surgical operating room. You, frontline staff, frontline technician, you guys are the surgeon. We, leaders, and the material handlers, spiders, the water spider, they are the nurses that support you to build the value-added works at the work center. All right, that's one. Another one, we want to manage the shop, just like the cockpit, the airplane cockpit to the airline, the airplane pilot. Every single thing need to be visual controlled and need to be visualized. So those are the image that can communicate really quickly and give them the idea of what we're trying to achieve. Especially we start to invent a new tool, the new concept. I'm not trying to tell them you have to memorize the 5S, right? What is the 5S? Right? What is the Kanban? What is the definition of that Japanese word? No, we don't do that. We do 5-second rule. So what is the 5-second rule? That is a very, very quick and easy. I teach them to use the 5-second rule to evaluate everything they do. Are you able to get everything you need for the job within 5 seconds? Are you able to know what you need to build next and when you need to get done within 5 seconds? Are you able to find the file information you need within 5 seconds? Every single thing has a 5 second as the quantitative measurement. Mm-hmm. So if you go to the cabinet and then you're trying to pick a tool more than 5 seconds, I'm sorry, you violate the way to design your layout. Especially that's one thing I hate the most is the metal cabinet with the door. It will violate the 5-second rule right out. And most of the time when you open the cabinet, it's all crap stuck inside. Right? Yeah. Really, most of the time at the shop floor. So, that's pretty much, keep it very simple to communicate and use the menu and the result to demo so that we can reduce the resistance. These are the two things that we pretty much can, it takes some time really. I mean, in the beginning, you still have all that problem, but after a year, it was really minimized a lot. Those are two challenges.
So, I mean, obviously we're doing all of these improvements to impact the business, right, in a positive way. So things like order to cash, that sort of thing, like really trying to optimize all aspects of the business. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how these improvements that you made, again, all over the world in many different cultures, how did these improvements lead to, operational results? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So now the order to cash is the business processes that, unlike the process improvement at the shop, because at the shop you can visualize the material flow, right?
Yep.
You can see the material, you can see the product, everything is physical. Now the business process, the difficult part is visibility. So the very key before the improvement is really to visualize that business process. There are two tools that I love the most that I use all the time. It's a swimming lane
Yeah.
plus SciPark,
Yeah.
right? So SciPark stand for, I think your audience must be very familiar with the SciPark,
I hope.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
If
So
not, go to GemmaAcademy.com and we got you.
right. You gotta be you must have a training
Yeah.
material for that.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so the swimming lane process flow plus SciPod together with the KPI indication underneath it, the combination of overall picture really give you a very clear picture on where you should improve. Now, once you have that process improvement, the flow, the process flow, indicate from the end to end, then there are several things we want to ask ourselves. First of all, we want to do. This is just my personal opinion, experience that a lot of time I want to do the first time is to clean up the KPI. So a lot of people might not really understand this is every single KPI require processes and time and resources to track, record, and then to produce. Okay, take one very example. If the finance department say, "Hey, I want to know the labor hour at each single work centers," oh my God, then every technician will need to clock in, clock out the travelers or something, right? If you have a 10 work centers, then everybody just spend a lot of you're gonna face a lot of interruptions. That is the KPI. Do you really need it? So I call that a KPI cleansing. Whenever we say KPI, it should be 2 or 3, but most of the company has like 10 or 50. So KPI cleansing will help the first step to improve the flow. The second is really, can we identify a lot of manual and repetitive processes? Can we automate them? That's really the second thing that I look at. So the third thing I'm gonna look at is, where is the table setting point? What do I mean that table setting point? It means if some certain point of the process is the bottleneck, or we say the pacemaker, like when you enter the order into the system, then it will change to the production info and run the MRP. Before you run the MRP, you need a very careful and ensure the order information on the order, sales order are very clear and accurate. That is what I call the table setting point. Every single information, every order need to be accurate before you even get down to the downstream. You need to have a mechanism to stop it and to indicate the error, right, before you move on to the downstream. So you might will see you have a multiple that table setting point, that is what I call, through the entire end to end. So this is actually what we did when we implement the ERP system for one of the company that I work for. So we have a very clear picture of the end to end process. We start to identify those and start to build into the system and let it control. And you will have a visibility from the end to end. That is very critical, and also give you the error before it happen, before you get down to downstream. And that is the way that we trying to improve on the business process side, order to cash.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, so maybe to wrap things up, I got a question in mind for you. You've got a very diverse background. You've worked with all over the world. many different cultures. Um, I suspect large company, small company, everything in between.
Right.
What are you most proud of when you look over your career so far?
The most proud of, I think the keyword that you mentioned, diversity.
Mm,
So I've been in three different sectors: aerospace and defense, and oil and gas, and automobile. And every sectors pretty much share a lot of common ground. But I found one thing is very interesting is that the Lean discipline and guiding principle don't change. It doesn't matter which sector you go to. You won't know about it until you experience multiple different diversity of experience, right? Globally, the same. You might feel, oh, in Saudi or in Dubai, you might need a different way to implement it, but actually, no. The way is pretty much the same.
mm,
Human is human, right? So they might have a different background. However, the way to implement that and then the way to communicate with them is not much different,
mm.
especially respect.
Yeah.
Once you respect them, they will respect you back. It really doesn't matter which country you go to. And when you talk with them with the big smile, it's also the global language as well. And I would say that the diversity, the experience is really that I'm proud of.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see
Very
that, man.
proud of.
It's such an accomplishment. I mean, I've my own career, I got to work around the world a little bit, not as much as you, but I know it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, and I think you nailed it within Lean when we think about these pillars of respect for people, continuous improvement. Sometimes I think it's just on a poster or on the wall, and maybe we think, yeah, that's what we say, that's the
Right.
picture, right? But it really is, it is the truth. It's the way, right? Like if you don't have deep, authentic respect for one another, it doesn't mean that we always agree. Doesn't mean that we stand in a circle, holding hands, singing hymns, all that. It's not necessarily this, right? I think people
Exactly.
misunderstand respect for people, what does this really mean? But it does mean, so, listening to one another, challenging one another, trying to seek to understand one another. This is really the secret to continuous improvement, in my opinion, and it doesn't get enough recognition. But when you see a situation such as what you are working in, Jackey, and have worked in, it makes a lot of sense, because without that, I just can't see how you could be successful.
Exactly. And really, like I mentioned earlier, keep it simple is really another key as well. And you don't want to get into a different culture and showing that, oh, hey, I'm from some certain country. I'm higher than you, right?
Yeah.
So really, and I'm from the headquarters, so you are technicians, and I'm higher than you,
Yeah.
right? And you just need to do what I told you to. No, that gonna fail 100% because the
Yeah.
moment you leave that
You
door,
leave,
everything
it's
got
gone.
back. Yeah, it's gone. It's
Yeah.
gone. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good stuff. Wow. This has been a fun conversation, Jackey. I'm really glad that you came on. Maybe to wrap things up, do you have any sort of final words of wisdom for the folks listening, or maybe a piece of advice that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I do have one there, and this is through my entire link journey there. One thing that really I see is very effective that the leadership engagement and the support from the top down. Once you will see that, you're gonna see the culture and a lot of very valuable ideas will start to grow from the bottom up. But
Mm,
it really need the stuff from the top down. So when I had the chance to visit one of Toyota's facility, and I see a group of people at the shop floor, they are trying to do the brainstorming on one of a problem there, and I was shocking that a VP level of executive was standing there facilitating the brainstorming at the shop floor. And that struck me. because the level of engagement really, it happened 20 years ago when I was one of a facility in there, and I was really impressed by the level of engagement, and that I just stick in my mind ever since. So that's why I feel like really the engagement and support from the top down, so that you can expect your people have more ideas and the culture start to grow bottom up.
Yeah, wonderful.
Right.
Hey, Jackey, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
I think the best way is really on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the LinkedIn.
Yeah, and we'll have it all linked up here in the show notes, so everybody go and send Jackey a message thanking him for coming on, and be sure to connect with him. So, all right. Well, hey, Jackey, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Whether you've been on the continuous improvement journey for many years, or perhaps you're just getting started, Gemba Academy is here to support you. And while we're best known for our more than 1,500 Lean and Six Sigma teaching and virtual tour videos, we also have a team of experienced Lean and Six Sigma practitioners available for one-on-one coaching, as well as a variety of Lean and Six Sigma certification options. To learn more and to schedule a demo, head on over to gembaacademy.com.